Osiris.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Great Beyond. Apologies while I let these two run the episode. I hopped on a flight, woke up at 4:45 this morning, coming back from Nashville. Turns out these guys were still awake from streaming the show, so nobody's in a good mood today. So just beware of that. We're all still coming down after, name a song during those two shows, because every song just absolutely slapped.
I mean, to be fair, I haven't been in a good mood for at least 20 years, so...
Yeah, right. We'll chalk it up right now to the time difference or something. We'll talk a little bit more about the Nashville shows in a little bit. We've got a little bit of news for you guys today and an excellent interview lined up. You may know our guest from his documentary Miles to Go, or the fact that he's proprietor of venues like the Wetlands, all the Broken Bowls, Capitol Theater, curator of events like Fare Thee Well and Lock-In Festival, and finally institutions like Relics, Head Clout. Basically, if you've been to a show in the scene, chances are he's had his hands in it. The one and only Impresario of Organos, Peter Shapiro.
And this is one of the most exciting interviews we've ever done. Not to mention the first interview we've all done in person. He fills us in on some of his history with the band, the scene as a whole, and what the future holds for Goose and all of the projects at his disposal.
But first things first, Robbie, cue up that bingo theme. Let's go to work, boys.
Let's go to work.
News.
Let's go to work. That's what I think you meant. Okay.
First I didn't get the reference then. I don't get it now.
There's no getting any of this. It's fine.
Yeah, too hot.
It's the great beyond. It's a very deep void.
to the back now, y'all. First things first. Things have been a little bit quiet, shockingly, in Goose World. But somehow they've managed to sneak in a few festival announcements. So the Thing Festival, real creative title, Port Townsend, Washington, August 26th through 28th, featuring acts like Freddie Gibbs, Modest Mouse, and Father John Misty.
Right, yeah, and it's an interesting festival lineup. I mean, how could we forget Triumph, the Insult Comic Dog?
Oh,
obviously
God.
A very highbrow act. Delvin Lamar Organ Trio is also there too. Now I'm flipping through Jungle, who I've heard some good stuff about, and it's just a very different lineup. And we've seen that now when we already recapped those other festivals, like the festival in Memphis, like Boston Calling. Just more, I don't want to call them pop or mainstream. This one's kind of almost like a little bit of a hipster fest here, which fits the band because they're, hipsters. They wear very skinny jeans. Franz Petit Lupin can only fit into skinny jeans. So it's just that makes sense, but it's kind of cool too, in that sense that they're kind of like extending, they're exploring their boundaries and going outside of like the jam scene festivals, where they're still playing at Peach, still playing at Sweetwater, and they're playing cool fests like Thing and Boston Calling and in Newport Folk too.
So we did no research on the Thing Festival, clearly.
No, I know it's in Washington. Washington State, not DC.
Got him. Yep.
Yeah, couldn't have known that without looking it up. So,
moving on, got the Newport Folk Festival this summer. Already sold out, but it's cool. Great to see cigarette companies are still kicking, now advertising festivals. Bruce, tell me about the first time you smoked a Newport.
Man. Memories. Just for those of you who don't know, Newport's an American brand of menthol cigarettes, and actually the second best-selling cigarette brand in the United States since '96. Can you believe that? So the first time I smoked it, getting that feeling of some cooling glass cutting into my throat as I smoked it and drank like a very bitter, warm Schaefer's, on some wooden steps outside my house was a really meaningful experience for me in a lot of ways. Newport's led me to Cool's. Cool's led me to Pall Mall. Pall Mall Reds led me to not smoking anymore. So then that's the whole pretty much the whole progression. But yeah, excited to see that. I've been dying to go to Newport Folk Festival and just inhale some cool minty breeze.
Yes,
but besides the fact that it's just a classic festival, there's a lot of cool acts in this festival too, and again, much different than even Boston Calling, which you have like Glass Animals and Metallica is there and stuff like that, and then here you got Mandy Moore, who I'm super excited to see.
Oh shit, Bruce, Mandy Moore tour.
Mandy Moore, I used to have a poster of you in my room. We're not going to talk much more about that. Neil Francis is there. They haven't announced a lot of artists. Taj Mahal, like Joe, you mentioned Taj Mahal before. I mean and they're playing on the same day as Goose on Friday.
Yeah. So I've wanted Goose to cover She Got the Katies so bad.
Yeah. Widespread covers that though, right? And don't they?
I mostly know it from Blues Brothers.
Oh right, okay, right, yeah. They could cover some Blues Brothers stuff too. Sometime would be cool.
Yeah, the most sought after Halloween set, I think.
Yeah, definitely, and I think maybe because of that they probably will not do it.
Probably won't.
Yeah.
They're just banking on another Austin Powers movie coming out at some time.
Gold member.
Austin Powers Redux.
But yeah, Newport Folk, July 22nd to 24th. Very, very excited about it. Catch that minty ocean breeze. Should be a new kind of mix of audiences for the band, not just, Crunchy Jam festivals. So should be interesting to see how they approach these shows.
Yeah, for sure. I expect a lot of indie vibes coming out of some of these shows, but then they had that See Here Now fest set, which I think is a little bit of an underrated fest set for them. I don't listen to it, but I did at one point, and it was pretty good. And when they just play these tight sets with, they don't have a ton of time, they play the tight sets, play the hits, and it really works out.
Especially when the sound isn't working for the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm always hearing stuff anyway. It's cool.
Fill the gaps. See Here Now was kind of like special in that. Well, it's not special, but in that I thought it might be the last time we ever see them play a 60-minute set anyway.
Oh, that's interesting. It just seems like to me it's weird with festival sets. Now that their font is like 18 point, I think, that they're going to get, a little over an hour 15, hour 30, given the way the band manages time, and they have to have tea and water, and they have to pee because of that. So it's going to be an hour anyway, probably. But it's just hard for any band. And this was what always stunned me about openers, and when they were opening for Pigeons and opening for Spafford and all these other bands, and how many fans they were picking up from that, where it's really hard to give people a good taste of what you do in 45 minutes or an hour. And that's why I've kind of always been stunned at how many fans they picked up through these festival sets too. But they do a really good job of putting together these shorter sets in a way that's very impactful. And that's helped them a lot.
Yeah, so I guess we could say they haven't figured out 3 sets quite yet, but they have figured out one.
They get one down. They got one down. It's only up from here.
And so I think like festivals like Newport and Thing, like the new songs are really going to slap at those, because they definitely have that vibe that like a Newport Folk Festival I think would really dig.
It's going to be interesting. I'm assuming they're going to be all acoustic band at the Folk Festival, maybe, but maybe not.
So.
Really? They're going to go electric? I mean, yeah, then it's going to be, you're going to hear...
I don't know, but I'm not going
to... Well, of course you don't know. You're just the publicist.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, why would I know? Yeah.
How would you know? But yeah, that'll be interesting to see what kind of sets they do put together for these festivals, and then that's cool too, because then that adds a different layer, and maybe they put together an hour and 15-minute Thing fest set that's different than a lot of sets that they put together for other festivals, and it really clicks and it really works. And this is the cool thing about them trying to go to some of these different festivals and play in front of different fans and people who have different tastes in music and see how that works out. And I'm very curious to see, what comes of that over the next year or two, and how many fans that they pick up from some of these other bands that you just wouldn't really expect.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to get my free card in Newports.
It's okay. I got a lifetime supply. So.
All right, let's get this done with before the bingo tour theme is over, and let's move on to some things a little bit more substantive,
like Sunset Lake.
Dripped up.
Okay, well, since Joey hasn't been around for any Goose Day Tuesdays, really slacking, we thought we'd give him a generous 60 seconds. I'm timing it now, so we're cutting into it right now. Recap the 2 nights at Brooklyn Bowl, Nashville.
Dude, so you joke about Joey Who, the amount of people that are like, oh, Great Beyond. I love like Greg and Bruce, those guys. I'm like, yeah, there's a third host too. They go, really?
Yeah, the one who you should just be like, yeah, the one who does the work. All right. Yeah.
No, but so we talked about it a little bit earlier. Like, I'll leave the song breakdowns and stuff to you mostly because I don't really remember. Like, I haven't processed the jams yet. I just remember like fire at 100% the entire time for 2 nights. But as soon as you walk in, and again, our guest is Pete Shapiro, so like walking in this place, you're in a Pete Shapiro venue. Like, the energy is cultivated for the ultimate fan audience member experience, and I feel like that just comes from people who are great audience members themselves. They go to a lot of shows, they partake in the live music scene for years. And he knows exactly what we want and what we're looking for and what we need. And like, the sound was great. The lights around the place, it really reminded me of Dallas too, how they had those like panels on the side.
I was going to say that, Joey. Yeah, dude.
They had those like spotlights on the side, and Getty was doing that thing he did at Goosemas where like the lights are flipping at like 360 degrees, but it was like on the sides and they were colored. Like, it looked really cool. I could imagine like up from the balcony, seeing the whole crowd with that light show. Must've been sick. And then lastly, like, the band experience seems really nice. Like, Jeff and Peter, they were coming out into the crowd like before the show, after the show, hanging out. Like, they just seemed very comfortable, very at home. The staff was really helpful. Everyone's happy. And that's what I hear about all the Brooklyn Bowl venues, that the people that work there genuinely love working there. And, we have friends who work for Pete Shapiro who say during the pandemic, like, a lot of those people had to get other jobs because the venue was closed, but like 95% of them or something like came right back as soon as it opened back up. So,
wow.
Props to Pete, props to the whole staff. That place was like set to pop off for these shows, and dude, the crowd brought it. It was just awesome.
Yeah, the band brought it too. I mean, Greg and I noticed on these streams, the rolling lights, though, by the way, that Getty, that little effect with the lights looking like they're, rolling around like a log, like, and flipping over and over themselves is so cool. And but yeah, you could tell on the streams too. One of the things about designing these venues now for the fan experience, like Mission Ballroom, great sound, great sight lines, good staff, lots of bars, easy bath, like everything's easy. Brooklyn Bowl in Brooklyn has always been one of my favorite kind of local venues to us to go to. It's just always been a cool vibe. It is a little small, but it was always a neat idea in the sense of, having the great fried chicken and having these bowling lanes that are kind of like VIPs. So you get a really great spot to look at the show, and you get to fuck around, you get service. And it was just like always one of my favorite places to go. And I was kind of FOMOing a little bit, not being able to go to Nashville. I had some really good friends there. But beyond that, just to see this new Brooklyn Bowl venue, knowing that it was going to be good, and then seeing it on the stream and seeing how those lights are set up, that's like one of those little details, just like you mentioned with the Echo Lounge in Dallas, was like, this place is just perfectly designed so that artists have a lot of, leverage to do all kinds of cool stuff if they want or not. In Mission, they can use that disco ball as much as they want, do all kinds of different stuff with it, or use it lightly like Getty kind of did. And then at Dallas, they had those like rectangular lights all on the side that Getty was doing some very tasteful stuff with. And then in Nashville, they had these cool horizontal lights that kind of cross like just above the band, kind of like the net of lasers at South Farms a little bit, and you could see it so clearly on the stream when John would get back to that balcony view, which is straight on the band, which he did it a number of times where you really got to see what Getty was doing in there and how it was looking. And it just made me itch to want to be there. You could just kind of just tell from the scene how people looked, on the stream, and they looked comfortable. They looked loose. They didn't look like they were packed in like sardines. Like, I have to say 930 Club did. I obviously wasn't there, but, it looked so much tighter. So all of that, plays into, like you said, people who know live music and love it and know what the fans want and building that experience for them from the ground up. And it's really cool. I definitely hope, they don't get too big to not go back there and play, maybe 3 nights next time. Cause I would love to go, I would really love to go. It just looked like such a sweet experience.
And one thing I want to add, they did sell beer by the pitcher there. So I would hop out, grab a pitcher of Pacifico, bring it back, good for the set. That was a big bonus. And like, I never even thought to ask about at the Brooklyn Bowl in Brooklyn. I've never seen anyone with a pitcher there.
No,
but maybe nobody asked for it.
They will at the lanes. Like if you order it, you can get it. I'm pretty sure you can get pitchers from the bar, but that's that Brooklyn Bowl is small. And when there's enough people in there, man, it's like, you're not going to, I would try to stand on the floor with my pitcher. But yeah, it's just not going to be practical.
That's going to get spilled. It's not the Brooklyn Bowl without pools of beer all over the floor.
For sure.
And it was no different in Nashville.
Well, I have no further comments. So why don't we dive into the interview?
Right.
So good that Greg and I are running this episode today. Running.
I love the net of lasers.
The net of lasers. Duh. Everybody knows that.
All right, let's pull it together and talk to Pete. But first, a quick message from the band.
The views, opinions, and information presented on this podcast are not necessarily an accurate depiction of reality. The Great Beyond is
not
a Goose podcast, and as such, you may hear some things that aren't completely true. That being said, we would hope that some of it is true, but here at The Great Beyond, we are way beyond truth.
Live, Mohegan Sun Arena, Goosemas 8, with a man that needs no introduction, but he let me know I could improvise one. Concert Impresario, Peter Shapiro, on the Great Beyond podcast.
Hey, Greg Knight calling it deep.
Welcome. So let's start out strong. Have you ever been called an impresario?
That word is sometimes used when written, yes.
Okay.
I don't know. People, you can call me whatever you want. That's what we just said. But I won't. I'm not fully sure always what that word means, but it works.
The Impresario of Organos.
Thank you.
The Goose original. We're so happy to meet you, have a good conversation with you. Somebody who knows probably the band more than us at this point.
Most people do.
They don't even.
It's an awkward podcast. So.
Yeah, my brain. A lot of stuff's come in. I hold a bunch of it, but not everything.
Sure. We know how that goes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, well,
sure.
Yeah.
We left a lot of it on the floor at Brooklyn.
It's a good start. I like this.
So I'll let someone else take it. We're going to go Impresario the whole time.
All right. So I guess while we're on the subject, how did you come to not only find this band, but start working with this band? That is Goose that we're talking about.
Well, it starts, their manager, Ben Baruch, must have, this is one of those things that's probably a little fuzzy, but he must have reached out to me. He did, and been like, I'm involved with this band. I'm working with this band, Goose. Although I don't even know the full history. They were probably earlier, these Connecticut guys, and playing up at Garcia's, where we have the Capitol Theater.
So a lot of good shows.
At
Garcia's.
And I know Goose, so I don't know all the timing of when Ben starts, but I do think Ben and the relationship, his management company and the band has, is in music, in the scene, live music, all music, but particularly live, where you're touring and it's like so many logistics. It takes a village, and a team. Yeah. And Goose has such a great team. Yeah. I'm fortunate. I'm good friends. I do so much with Ben. Whether it's Twiddle or Pigeons or Oteil Burbridge or Eric Krasnow, we can go down a list. And I always have done a lot with him. Big Gigantic was a band he's worked with for a long time. And so when someone like that who's a friend and you've done a lot with, it's like, yo, dude, it's you got to be aware of this. And so Goose has had a lot of buzz for a while. It's not something they lacked. Even
Great
coming
publicist. Great publicist, yeah, for sure.
Great. So there was buzz even in the early days, and so there were the Garcia shows, and then I remember going to a show at Music Hall of Williamsburg.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
A few years back.
Fact.
And I have another friend, Dan Berkowitz, who does a lot of the VIP stuff in this scene.
Okay.
He was also like, yo, dude, and I remember that show. And a bunch of them will be here tonight at Mohegan. Dan's here. Josh Moore, who's the promoter of Bowery Presents, who booked that show.
Oh, right on.
He'll be here tonight.
Very cool.
But anyways, I remember the energy in the room at Music Hall Williamsburg. There was like this palpable, I wish it was my room. It's not. But, there's sometimes like energy in the air. You can feel it.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll feel it later tonight at Mohegan.
Sure.
When you feel that just thing, and that was going on at Music Hall.
Yeah, I felt a lot at Williamsburg.
Yeah, for sure.
Given how packed it was, and then trying to watch the merch, I unfortunately felt a lot. But
but that's part of it. Like you can't move. The wetlands. My first
it was
venue.
fantastic.
Bowery the night before was no different. It was
Always
way oversold.
Completely oversold.
Yeah.
They used to call wetlands sweat.
Yeah. Oh, that's how those two venues were.
But and there's something about that. We don't listen. Tonight won't be like that, and you can see it other ways. You don't always want that.
Yeah.
But when you're coming up and going through these rock clubs, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 person clubs, that kind of packed thing may be a little bit uncomfortable in the moment, but it does add to the intensity of like you're seeing something special.
Oh, it definitely does. And then for the band to see the packed floor and the packed stands.
Yeah, you can't get in. People look what they do. Like everyone wants to be there.
Yeah, they
sold out.
Yeah.
It's buzzy, And then you go to the next room, and the next bigger room, and it's awesome. But maybe that was the next New York thing, right to Terminal 5.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, I got it.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah,
and great, still and so that's probably why I was like, okay, what's next? Let's go to the arena.
Right. And that leads us to another good question. So, in terms of now that we're here, Mohegan Sun Arena, celebrating Goosemas 8, which is absolutely insane after 8 years of doing it in tiny places.
I feel at least 15 years old.
Oh, my God. At least, maybe 20. But, how, now we know.
I'm now realizing I probably heard of Goose before Ben Baruch.
Oh, God, really?
Yeah, I don't know when, but I'm like, wait a minute. I just wanted to go back to that, but keep going.
Oh, no, it's fine. No, I totally.
I mean, Matt Kalinsky booked a whole lot of those.
I'm going to later tonight. I'm like, yo, bro, I knew about them before you.
Yeah, Matt Kalinsky, John Warner, they were involved early on,
I was just thinking, wait a minute, I'm going to tell him that later. Yo, bro.
I mean, I also, the year that the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I was at Broken Bowl. And
we stood next to each other.
We stood next to each other, and I was like, hey, man, you heard of Goose yet?
That's when it happened.
So I'm pretty sure.
I think it was Greg Knight.
I'm pretty sure.
At Brooklyn Bowl for the Super Bowl.
Rob, can we edit out all that stuff?
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Our sound engineer, right?
Well, enough about me, Bruce.
Oh, I had a question. So Goosemas. So how did you first get involved with the band, with Goosemas in particular? Because luckily, Greg and I were very fortunate to be at that Rockefeller Center show. So how did that kind of come to be and come to pass, and then bringing it up to here? How do we get to here?
Back to that one is Ben calling me, being like, "Yo, bro." I remember I got a call. I was on the street. I remember, and he said, "We're coming. We want to do something really special in New York, and you have to figure it out." No, he said, "You got to come up with something." He actually mentioned like Jimmy. He knew I had a friendship with like Jimmy. He's like, Can we do it at the Tonight Show? He was literally like, we want to play a Goose show at the Tonight on the set or SNL. That was an idea.
Sure.
It's good to have. There's no reality in that. But
Plants the seed.
And I felt pressure. He did say like, you're the one, so we're turning to you. Come up with something and call me back. And call me back.
Nice.
Once you have it, or like we talked, and it was a little intimidated. Like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? And then, luckily, everything is like I have a relationship at Rockefeller Center. Have someone who we know them anyways. I do my kids' rock and roll playhouse shows with them.
Oh, right now.
And someone who works at Relics. His father works at Rockefeller Center.
Very cool.
He became the key guy. Gus Field, if he's listening. Carly's
Thanks
daughter.
for dinner, Gus.
Yeah, I think.
Long time
remember that.
That's right.
So I came up with how about Rockefeller Center, And then we went and looked at all the spots and flew in. I remember. I think it was a bad weather day. It's interesting how the brain works. But we got that cool outdoor. I mean, it was a once in a lifetime, really.
Oh, it was. It was incredible.
You know what's cool? You can just say anyone can go watch it. You just Google Goosemas Rockefeller, the footage. I mean, that was just, we got lucky that they were open to Gus. They kind of, and by doing streaming now, maybe pre-streaming, I don't know if you pull that off. Because we could say to Rockefeller Center, it'll be streamed and people will get to watch and we'll show off Rockefeller Center kind of. It's on Twitch and Relics and that was just a good story.
Yep.
If we didn't have that ability to be like, oh, we're going to stream it, it was just, can we just do, wouldn't have worked, right? We wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I mean,
So it's kind of
would
like,
have watched.
there wouldn't have been anything to watch, actually.
Right.
So that's one cool thing I just realized that streaming or something like technology enables.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did something similar after with Grateful Mahalo. We went to Hawaii with doing a Grateful Dead,
Right.
Bill Kreutzmann and Billy Strings,
Yeah.
shooting, no one there,
Yeah, that was awesome. too.
streamed. And so Goosemas at Rock Center was no one there except us. That was
It was awesome.
sick lights, sick spacesuits.
Yeah, the spacesuits.
And we're going to do it. That's cool about tonight.
Yep.
I feel like
Yep.
Twitch, that'll be watched by a lot of people. And people can watch it anywhere. And now with where we're seeing people, there'll definitely be people at home, on Sono shit. I mean, it's winter, but maybe some people in Arizona will be outside,
Sure.
sitting in their hot tub
Yep.
with us at Mohegan Sun, or you see that, so you can take a show and make it bigger than itself.
Exactly.
So hopefully tonight's, there'll be some people in a hot tub in Scottsdale.
Absolutely.
I will be joining anyone who wants in their hot tub tonight. Yeah,
We're coming into your home. Yeah, it's
And you've been doing that too with the Relic Studio as
If
well.
someone writes back after this that they're in Scottsdale, Arizona,
In
can
the
take
hot
a
tub,
picture
sure.
of them in a hot tub watching with a screen, watching Goose, I'll give them fucking 2 tickets to any show they ever want to see. Including
There we go.
Neil Young, sold out, anything. There you go.
We'll have a hot tub waiting.
Let's
for
go.
You need to show the
Scottsdale.
picture that somehow proves you're in Arizona or in a hot tub watching Goose in Arizona. Okay.
Oh, we're getting a lot of downloaders in Arizona.
That's
great.
A lot of people buying hot tubs out there.
So talking about the virtual shows, I was saying you've been doing that with the Relic sessions too. How did that come about? What's it been like working with the Relic Studio?
Yeah. Actually, the Goosemas is one of the first things we did with Twitch. It's a good Relics channel. And maybe it was the first thing we on Relics, and now we have a whole thing going. Wow.
Yep.
I just realized that. Let's not tell Ben Baruch because then he'll ask me for something.
Ben Baruch comes before us.
He's coming. I hope he doesn't listen to this. He'll be like, "You owe me." He's a good manager. He'll be like, "Yo, we want a cut of your Relics channel." No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Yeah. So we started streaming. It's awesome, and Goosemas was awesome, and there should be a studio. We always did live at Relics.
Yep.
We just put it on Facebook or YouTube, and now Twitch is this thing. It's always got to be live. It's mostly gamers, but they wanted live music, and our scene, and the Goose scene, and other scenes. Trey, the whole jam, and improvisational indie jam scene. It works really well with streaming because each show is different.
Yeah.
It's like a big headline. Pop bands, hip hop, DJs. Most shows are the same each time or similar.
Yep.
That doesn't work as well to keep streaming live. Our world where each show is different. That's why the band Goose, Goose streams almost all their shows, right? A lot of them pay-per-view. This will be a special one. It's part of the model.
Yeah.
Look at these guys. They travel with their own streaming team.
Yep.
I know you guys. Tonight should be a notch up because we're augmenting with some of our equipment and stuff. Hopefully, it's got some special.
Cool. Yeah, very cool.
But it's true. Goosemas was the kickoff to what now is one of the biggest live music channels on Twitch. Maybe the biggest, probably. It's just live music stuff.
It's awesome.
And so we opened a place in a venue, former Jazz Standard.
Yeah.
It was a jazz club that closed during the COVID. And they were like, "Yo, do you want to take this over?" And I was like, "Yes." For streaming, it was cheap for just to stream out of, and we're going to make it a venue.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's
that
awesome.
upstairs space, really.
the venue downstairs, and then Blue Smoke was upstairs. We're gonna make the whole thing a thing. We just announced that.
Wow.
Shit.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to checking that out.
Well, it's Jazzlands. That's coming.
That's beautiful.
Right
okay.
on, yeah.
Don't tell Ben Baruch because he's going on peace.
Yo, no, I know. Yeah, Don Baruch's coming for his money. Don Baruch's coming for taxes.
Sure. Wow. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your history, right? For the young whippersnappers who are 21 years old and just getting into this world, like you have a storied history in New York with bands, up-and-coming bands who have passed through your rooms. Wetlands Preserve. So I'm wondering, like you had Dave Matthews Band there, what, 93, 94?
Cool.
What do you look for in an emerging artist? What do you look for in an emerging artist? What clicks for you to know that they've got something that you want to be involved with?
Good question. I mean, I'm in the live side, so it would be a different answer, probably a recorded music person or something at a label.
Sure.
You know, it's funny, I look at the audience.
Okay.
I mean, I listen. If it's great, I love it. I'm in.
For sure.
But, you know, you can see that energy in the audience and who's coming, and, like, you can sense it, you know, and if the audience is there and you feel it, and back to, like, that feeling when it's packed in and there's a line outside, or you just take it, even the first show, let's say they're opening for someone, or just Garcia's Tuesday night, forget about selling it out. You just see like 60 people, you know, on a cold winter night.
Absolutely.
It's a little something.
It was fun.
Then you know, that's really kind of what we see. We can tell. We see momentum, and we can see it through that. And that's really the most important thing.
Sure.
Fans, young people coming out, energy. You know, energy begets energy. People tell other people.
Yeah.
And so that's really, we see that. For me, I'd like to just tell you, like, yo, this song's so incredible, but there's so many amazing performers who can't draw.
Yeah.
Just sorry to say it like that. So we have to, our reality is looking at both the and we wouldn't do someone who drew people but sucked. Well, maybe we would. No.
Depends on if Ben Baruch can get paid. We know that.
Maybe we would. That's fair. But we do look for the kind of melding. It's great, and people are coming out, and then we love to support it. Like, let's do a night. Let's go to 2 nights, Garcia. You know, let's get a cool opening slot at the Cap. You know, let's go to the big room. You know, the Capitol Theater.
Yeah.
And let's do them at the Bowl, and then 3 nights at the Bowl, or let's go, you know, and you know what's exciting? They're playing Nashville next week, in Vegas,
and Vegas.
I was
and Vegas. They all
can't
split, and so and Lock. Lock-In. Wow, we've done a bunch. Cover of Relics is coming up. That may
that's
Get your pre-orders in.
We break all kinds of news on the Great Beyond.
Yes.
Maybe this podcast is worth
more. I don't
listening to.
care. Hey, this beer's good. I'll keep going.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna hopefully have Adam, or there's another photographer I know coming tonight.
Yes, there's another photographer, important guy. Yeah.
We'll see you there. But I was just talking to the editor of Relics, and we're like, Dean Budnick, and we're like, and Mike Greenhouse.
Yep.
But Dean, we're like, yeah, maybe the cover shot. It's go live, Mohegan Sun. I hear there's a lot of lights.
Sure.
So we'll see on the photo. But so when you go in a few months and you see the cover of Relics, I wouldn't be surprised. I was like, we should do the Mohegan Sun wide.
Yep.
Shot, boom. I think I said to him, get the wide shot.
The wide shot. Yep.
You like that? Did you remember?
That's
You
right.
here?
Yeah.
He said, get the wide. Greg heard. That's because I knew I want to get a wide shot.
Oh,
I thought you wanted a wide shot of
40 chests.
But I didn't want to tell him the Relics joke because it might be that other photographer.
Sure. Right.
Hope it's
Right.
not
Yeah.
All photographers fighting each other out there for the wide shots.
We're just the cover.
Yeah. But you gotta watch out of us.
This is how you make the donuts.
That's it.
No, it is.
And that is not a fish reference.
we don't talk about that.
No, but this is about the Dunkin' to the corner. You know, how to make the
For sure.
Definitely. We're in the Northeast, Dunkin' every corner.
So one of the things, you know, I think about with all of this, you certainly pivoted during COVID, right? You came out with the Jazz Standard and Blue Smoke, a whole new room, a whole new idea of how to approach accessing fans. But you also, so what do you think about the landscape of music once we emerge from all of this? What's going to be different? What should we expect?
I actually think it will go up.
Yeah.
Because I think, you have the avid people who are like, go to shows. They've been held back. So they're just fucking coming.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah.
Because you never know when it could end. Then you have the people who are who don't go to shows as much or did not go to shows previous to now. I think some of them may be like, you know what? I don't usually go to a show. I stay home, watch Netflix, or do something else, read a book. Now I'm going to go to a show tonight, just because I just think they may.
Yeah.
Just because.
You never
so
know.
I think
when
at one point, you may get a little increase there, right? So the avid people who went a lot are going to go even more. And inside, we do believe that some of the people who did not go to a lot of shows be like, you know what? I'm going to go to a show. So that situation combined should equal more than before.
That's math, folks.
That's it.
That's how math
People are
works.
like, how do you do all
That's
this?
Euclidean geometry.
That's how you have
guys.
venues all over. You like these? See, it's
I
all.
do like it.
People like keep it simple, but I do think it will lift. There'll be a moment, a positive moment, but you don't want to get too excited because you just get knocked down immediately.
Sure.
Look at the Omicron thing.
Sure.
Look at what happened to Goosemas in December.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Quick boom, it's over, it's done.
Yeah.
Same here. You think don't get too excited. Oh, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Like we got a lot of holds. Our venues now, you get like 6 holds. You can't even in the fall. And stuff for fall 22 will be very busy. Everyone's going to want to go out.
Right.
They missed out a lot. By the way, Goose has been going like the whole time. Pretty much.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Let's talk about Ben Baruch. Come on,
Baruch's not going to let him stop working. No.
These guys never really fucking slow down.
Dude, he's a slave driver out there. But no,
and it was smart. By the way, Goose got bigger.
Yeah,
of course.
Absolutely.
It's kind of that like production quality of those streams you're talking about. It's like obviously Fish and Dead & Co, the bigger bands, had the money to spend on it. Now like these smaller bands are figuring out ways that they can stream at a great
big part of
level.
it. These guys have been really smart with that.
Yeah.
You know who else done a good job? Billy Strings.
Oh, yeah.
And we've done a lot with him
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
He also, so it's Billy and Goose have been operating as smart as you can. By the way, they both did streams because now Goosemas with no audience is a big thing. And I just really, you know who else did right after? We did Billy Strings
the
with no
Cats.
audience.
The
Deja Vu.
Deja Vu.
And Pigeons.
At the Cat.
And Pigeons afterwards, too. You did Pigeons.
And we did Pigeons, no audience at the Bowl.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
Super Bowl
That's right.
Yeah, the Super Bowl. So like that was smart. These are bands being like, let's go, no audience. And we were pivoting. We were. I had the venues. They're all wired up. Might as well try to use them somehow.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually Twitch. Listen. I don't really like Amazon. I'm going to be like Paul Phil Michelson here. Because, I don't know, you want to hope for bookstores.
Sure.
But to their credit, like Twitch gave us the money. I helped introduce the tray idea at the Beacon Jams.
Okay.
I did the Twitch guide, like all those. Pigeons.
Yeah, those are wild.
Billy Strings. Goose. We got resources, money. Resources, a.k.a. cash.
Sure. Absolutely.
I learned that from Ben Baruch. a.k.a. cash from Twitch, which Amazon owns. So give them credit. That has helped. Without that, because like YouTube, Facebook stuff, not spending money on live music.
Right.
Not spending money in our scene.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
No. Zero. None. So like Goosemas Rock Center. Free. Like if you want to make it free and not pay it's good now moving forward, but not for Rock Center. Goosemas, you want that free.
Yeah.
To get the money to do like Gus Field, like they helped us out.
Yeah.
But not that,
Right.
There's still a cost, hard cost.
Oh, for sure.
And without the Twitch part, so a nod to Twitch and Amazon, because without that financial support, we wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking of, so we've obviously
some of it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we just get paid in CBDs. We need some resources.
And thank you, Sunset Lake CBD.
Resources.
Should we do a commercial break?
Yeah, we just do commercial breaks constantly. We really need sponsors. But so speaking of pivoting and COVID. Oh, we'll take it.
We'll take some resources.
Oh, definitely.
For sure.
We'll sell anything. So, Brooklyn Bowl is my favorite venue.
Yeah, absolutely. All three.
Every one of them.
And the Cap.
But so speaking of pivoting and streaming and how successful that was for the band, Goosemas was wildly successful.
Can I tell Ben Baruch after this? I'm meeting him up. Can he agree to sponsor?
I'm actually nervous he's going to have some thugs come after me after this.
Absolutely.
Matt Quincy's giving us the making it rain stuff.
From 111.
Dave just Venmo us.
I take
D.
cash app. But so, speaking of pivoting, a lot of people are interested in just knowing how
much is the sponsorship?
Yo,
So we'll get back to that.
Yo,
Yeah,
literally
yeah,
just
yeah.
Keith wants this
We're
one.
gonna edit this out. We're gonna edit this out.
I go sell all. Yeah. Anyway,
It's a CBD farm.
yeah, but so well, my questions are going sideways today. A lot of people, a lot of fans have really wanted to know, how did this Fred Fest situation come about? Because obviously that was another time where you had to pivot. You're not going to have the huge lock-in festival you normally have, so you chopped it up into these 3 festivals. But how did that start? How did that conversation start with the band, and how did we get to that Fred Fest from there?
Right back to COVID.
Yep.
Force you to think. And we're like, I don't really want to do a big one. 15, 20,000, 25,000 people. So we were like, let's go smaller. Let's do a few of them. Let's do one with Goose have its own festival. I mean, it's like...
They were
one with Tedeschi Trucks.
The
one with J-Rad, and then one with Goose. I didn't think of Fred. I was more, and I remember where I was. Back to I was actually, it's funny, we talked about Grateful Mahalo, which is shooting a band with no audience for a stream on this Twitch. And I was in the backyard of this house where we shot the shows, standing with Bill Kreutzmann. And I remember this, my phone rang. Oh, it's him again, Ben Baruch.
Oh, dude. Knock, knock.
And I pitched him standing there in Kauai. I was like, Bill, I need a minute. And I remember making the pitch for Goose to do it. Wasn't looking good, by the way.
Yeah.
There were some other things.
Yeah,
and
big vacation
I think they
month.
said
Yeah,
no
they
at
take
first.
off.
Yeah, it's a big vacation month for them.
It was vacation, Greg.
Yep.
They said no. And that's what I think he was calling me to be like, they really appreciate it. We offer them a bunch of money.
Rick's got to play volleyball.
No, they really appreciate it. This is now, it's coming back to me. They really appreciate it. It's past. It was vacation time.
Yeah.
And one thing I've learned to do is I don't take no. Well,
Sure.
Yeah.
I try. You got to keep pushing back.
It's a tough thing to do in 2022.
You just got, and I'm like, you know what? Well, usually the best way to fight the no, it's true. I mean, it's
resources.
More resources.
more research. We'll keep it.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it. Use that word. What if we put more resources into this? And I also told him it would be me. I really wanted to do it. So yeah, looking back, I did push.
There you go.
If I hadn't done that extra push, standing with Bill Kreutzmann and Kauai, but then they came back and like, you know what? I think it showed we really wanted to do it. And then they were all in. And they came back and like, we're going to do it. I'm psyched. And they don't know this yet, but more new. We're, part of the deal when I offered more resources, we were supposed to do 5 more.
There we go.
Yeah, so we're doing Fred at the Land. We're not going to do 22 probably, but 23, because it would have been there's 5 more Freds coming at the Lock-In Festival.
Yes.
They don't know this yet, but I'm going to tell them before the show.
Tune in on our Tuesday Live for a chance to win 5 years of tickets to Fred Festival.
Yeah, we should do the contest.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't need the band. That might help us all ensure it happens.
There we go.
Then we tell the band, sorry, bro. Intern made a mistake.
There it is. Yeah. No, we'll make sure the band wins.
Well, I'm joining Baruch's group, the Farm Thugs, so we'll make sure it happens.
Is Baruch the new Suge Knight?
Yeah, I think he might be.
All right. Well, I think we've revealed enough information.
Yeah.
We don't want to give our listeners too much until we get
Fred,
more
not a lot of
CBD.
bands can host their own festival.
That's true. That's true. And
So
not
I give them a lot
bands-
of credit in what they did. What about the fact that Dawes? I'll tell you a cool fact.
I was about to say, you guys put together a great lineup for a festival too for that weekend.
Everyone that we asked to play said yes.
Oh, really?
Really, the other bands.
Yeah.
And there were probably 7 or 8 other bands.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
How about Dawes?
Oh, it was a great lineup. They're
It's a great band.
Their
It's a major
Paranoid
band.
set was sick.
Yeah.
Covered Black Sabbath.
Sabbath.
Dr. Dog, Sammy
Sammy
Ray.
Ray and
Sammy
the
Ray was
Friends. Oh, yeah.
incredible.
Corey Long
Corey
crossed
Wan,
up there.
Dr. Dog, big band, and they're in their
Yeah.
final shows. I think that says a lot about, for sure, it says a lot about Goose and the reputation that they have, and the energy and the momentum, credibility with other bands. So that's cool. Not a lot of bands they could do that.
Yeah.
Really, I don't think anyone said no. I think everyone was like, yeah, we want to be a part of that. We want to be a part of this scene.
That's very
We want
cool.
to play in front of that audience. You know, the best thing you can do in music, if you want to be a band to play more, even if you're Dawes or Dr. Dog, is play in front of more people, new people.
Yeah.
And the fact that they want to be in front of that Goose audience shows that people think highly, I think, of what's going on here.
Yeah, and there was a lot of cool stuff too. A lot of people don't know of a lot of these bands. You know, surprisingly, maybe Corey Wong, maybe Dr. Dog. Yeah, but they didn't know.
I was about to say, there's one way, His Golden Messenger.
Yeah.
He don't suffer fools gladly. So, you're not going to do that. That means like there's something cool going on, and they have credibility with the other musicians.
Yeah,
it's not just we talked about how do you see, and you look at the audience and who's coming, and like how many people, and the demand and how the tickets go on sale. You can look at stuff, but I think the credibility that Goose has with other musicians and what we saw, at least booking Fred, for everyone, His Golden and Dog and Dawes and all these are all like yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Getting respect from your peers is a big thing in most industries, so it's cool to hear that. And plus, I don't know a single fan that went that didn't love the festival. It wasn't blown away by the atmosphere, by the staff. It was just a really well-run event, and it was nice to have it like a little less than 20,000 people that would normally be a lock-in, and it made it it gave it a very family vibe, and that's something the band's always carried around. So it really was excellent festival.
And that's why we're doing 5 more.
Yep.
So before we wrap, one thing that I found really interesting is with your venues local to where Goose exists in Connecticut, they were Garcia's All-Stars, right? A ton of Garcia shows. They played the main stage in 2016 for an All-Star show, first of 3. They did a Tuesday jam jar at the Bowl, but that was their only Bowl play. I think first or second of 3 was Space Carnival. And they never made...
By the way, I missed that. I'm not going to try and bullshit.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I missed it, too. I didn't even like the band that much then. So,
Wow, Greg, nice history. You got...
I mean, just me and about 7 people at that show. And they never, never headlined the Cap. And so, at this point with their growth, right, like, they're going to do the Bowl in Nashville. They'll do the Bowl in Vegas. But they've kind of, like, leapfrogged your monumental venues that are like...
I hasn't gone unnoticed.
So
Baruch noticed, I can tell you that.
We know you're making moves. So the next question I have is, are you going to get a room big enough for these guys?
Well, that's what I did in Nashville and Vegas.
There we go. Okay, yeah.
So
but we're catching up.
I hear you.
Local. So
no, you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Let's go.
Maybe we'll get some people triple cap.
Okay.
Let's get triple cap.
Yes. Okay.
You like great triple cap? Yeah. Maybe quad cap.
Cap.
They're doing double Radio City. I'm a part of that, so it feels good.
Right on.
They've been cool with that.
Yep.
We're part of this.
Yep.
We help, and that's part of the whole thing. And after Radio City, maybe they want to go to the big one. Hard to say no to that. I'm not going to try.
Please do not post on
You can go back and forth. They can go to the big one and then do the Avett Brothers, play the Garden, and triple 3 Capitol Theaters in the Garden, and now coming back to the Cap.
Yep.
So, but I wouldn't mind going, we could do a cap run.
I mean,
I can. I only live 30 minutes.
You got a piece of paper and a pen? Should we start coming up with the off? I mean, should we
do? Yeah, we'll do that.
No, I would love to, but whatever is right for the band is honestly what we do.
Whatever we say, they'll do.
So 10 nights at the Cap's right for the band.
Seems right. It does.
Somebody who's got the resources.
At least somebody's thinking for this band.
All right. Well, we've got about an hour till showtime.
Yeah.
We've got to eat.
That went fast.
We've got to we got to change our hockey jerseys.
I got my Gong Gang jersey.
No, mine smells fresh. I'm leaving it on.
I think we're show ready. We feel ready for
We're show ready.
We're ready for the show.
We're show ready.
Smoke a little CBD. I'll be ready for the show.
Oh, hell yeah.
All
Relax
right,
yourself.
Pete Shapiro, the Impresario of Organos.
Bring it back.
So
That's
much.
good. He brought it right back to us.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you come back and visit us soon, maybe when we're at the big one.
Yeah.
You want to leave our listeners with some words of wisdom?
It's about an hour to showtime. And you talked about dinner, but I think I would just have another beer.
Hell yeah.
Let's have a few
We've got
more.
one for you.
It's on the band and Ben Baruch, so it's all good.
Pete Shapiro, thank you.
I wonder if Ben will listen to this. We got a lot. We got like 5 more lock-in Freds.
Yeah.
Got a fucking run at the Cap.
And then we got the big one.
And we got the big one, which we know,
We should be tour
3 ladders.
Yeah, we should. Yeah,
this is a
that's
lost
simple.
cause.
Oh, but I'm getting
Japan tour 2026.
Dogs in a pile, hit us up. We'll get you set.
All right, let's
Thanks
get
for
it.
that. That was
Yeah,
fun.
let's
Keep
wrap.
doing this. It's
All
good.
right,
to you.
Thank you so much,
Thanks so much
Pete.
for doing
Thanks,
this.
Pete.
Appreciate it.
All right, so we'd like to thank our very special guest, Peter Shapiro, for joining us today. This was really one of those dream interviews we've been preparing for a while. Even though it doesn't seem like we prepare, I promise that we do sometimes. But it really meant a lot to us, and it was really a great way to start our Goosemas event.
We've got Motown Philly coming up this weekend. We're real excited to see all of you down there. So feel free to come up and say hi to validate 3 very fragile egos.
Yeah, on the brink of collapse. The Great Beyond is presented by Osiris Media and engineered by Greg Knight from his apartment in Brooklyn. On behalf of my co-hosts, I'd once again like to thank Pete Shapiro for joining us, our manager, Kathleen Knight, and most of all, you, the listeners, for tuning in. Be sure to catch a ride with us next time down the pathway to the Great Beyond.
My ego is a proverbial china shop.
Fragile.
Osiris.